This morning, let's explore meditation and the safety of simplicity. Boring button. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Princess Leia during the jet training she received in the events following Return of the Jedi, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, do not be shy. Merely type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen if you're on the video app, or in the area just below if you're on the clock app. Let's explore the 17th passage of Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones, the final meditation manual attributed to the great Tibetan saint Dzogchen Rinpoche in the late 1800s. This has been translated by the Padmakara group and adapted as well as amplified by yours truly. Hide your body by staying alone in the mountain wilderness. Hide your speech by cutting off contact and saying very little. Hide your mind by being continuously aware of your own faults alone. This is what it means to be a hidden yogi. So in the quatrains, the set of 4 verses leading up to this particular one, the author of the text has illustrated various ways that we are in peril, various ways that people can be selfish and short-sighted and cruel and deceitful. And so he doesn't say what you need to do is become a tin-plated dictator with delusions of godhood and tell people what they can and cannot do. Don't try to legislate morality. Instead, you do you. If people are behaving in a way that's perilous to you, retreat from them. You can still love them, just love them from afar. If people's communication is dangerous to you, and I knew what it was like when I was a little boy, first day of first grade, the bullying began, and I had no defense against it other than to put my head on my desk and cry. And I am separated from those bullies by a chasm of multiple decades. But I can still love them from afar. I can still wish them well. Not that those people deserve our well wishes, and this is important. We wish individuals well, be they human or be they monster, because that is who we are. Every healthy mammal comes with a piece of tissue in just about the middle of their brain, a little bit higher than the middle of the brain. That tissue is known as the anterior cingulate gyrus. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons. Every healthy mammal is therefore wired for empathy. And that empathy is the carrier wave, the base, the root of our compassion, our love. So our love literally is based on us. It is based upon the neurological equipment that for us is factory installed. The final bit of the quatrain. Hide your mind by being continuously aware of your own faults alone. You might say, these are pretty long lines. How could it be a quatrain? Well, classically in Tibet, there were very long pages, or about as long as your forearm and just about as thick as your forearm. So very long rectangles. That's how it worked back then. Hide your mind by being continuously aware of your own faults alone. So this is hyperbolic, and what is being taught is every healthy human is rather like a character in the first Outer Limits episode. I think it was written by Harlan Ellison, the man with the glass hand. I saw it when I was a very little boy, and of course I saw it in reruns because I was only born in the mid-'60s. But the idea was, at the end, a man discovers that he's not a man with a prosthetic. He is a robot who thinks he's a man. And he's living on Earth where all humans are gone, reduced to electronic impulses stored on the wire recording hidden in his chassis. And he is the last robot on Earth tasked with the protecting of what's left of humanity from an invasive species of aliens. I've said all that to say this. Just as within this fictional android was all of humanity, within each human lies every human impulse, every human emotion, the capacity for every type of thought, from the glorious to the grotesque. So one of the beautiful things, not about concentration, but about meditation, is that it shows us the infinite variety available through neurological permutation of our thoughts and impulses and emotions, not to praise or denigrate, but to notice and release, like a stage magician releasing doves into a theater. And so that will keep us very, very busy. Even more busy than being a busybody fuss budget. Every 12 hours, I broadcast a live meditation class without any ads, other than this. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you and you'd like to help out even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code on the screen, or merely scroll down and click one of the donation links in the description area below the video if you're on the video app. And if you're on the Clock app, you can always go over to my profile and muck about in my, what's it called? Linktree. That's it. Let's continue. I had a later start this morning, so I thought it could be fun if together we knock out a few sets of what one of my students coined as enlightened fitness. Let's knock out a few geriatric, oopsie, wrong button, a few geriatric step back squat thrusts. You can do this in front of a copy of the Tao Te Ching, or in front of an image of Lao Tzu, or before an image of a Buddha, if you wish. But it's not mandatory. Ooh. Oh. I try not to do this superstitiously, but to do it for two reasons. One, because zeal is the the sixth fold on the eightfold path of the Buddha, and because it's very, very good for the body to, metaphorically clear out the cobwebs. Using an inverted grip really helps to wake up the muscles that support our posture. So what do I mean by an inverted grip? Can you see it? My hands, instead of being this way, are this way. Well, that's invigorating. Whew. Excuse me. Let us perform a chant of universal loving intention. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. And by way of reminder, let's chant two very short verses from the 15th chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Yet like muddy water when still, they the masters become clear. So now we come to meditation. The Buddha was fond of occasionally dividing experience in terms of two categories, the physical and the mental. And so it seems appropriate that we can address meditation from that point of view. Physically, and this is important because the body affects the brain. With each inhalation, we can sit as tall as we can. Now, after experimenting for many decades, I found that sitting cross-legged upon a folded yoga blanket on the floor can be helpful. There are many variations of sitting cross-legged. Do not be naive. You can't do anything forever without getting tired, whether it be the most mundane or the most pleasurable. So, just as we learned in one of the Star Trek movies, that time is the fire in which we burn. When it comes to meditation, time is the fire in which our comfort burns. So do not be surprised when sitting cross-legged becomes uncomfortable. There are subtle variations you can make in any posture, or you can switch from one posture to another posture regularly. And you don't have to wait until the pain becomes overbearing. You can just make changes consistently. For instance, what is it? Every 64 rounds of breath, I reverse which leg is on top and which leg is on bottom. And after approximately 256 rounds of breath, I sit upon a circular meditation cushion known as a zafu, filled with buckwheat hulls. And that helps me cope with my degenerating joints. Learning of our medical needs. We do not learn of our medical needs to find justifications for inactivity, but to find intelligent ways to meet our needs. Not to be indulgent, but simply to be practical. If someone has bone spurs on the heads of the femurs that are tearing up the lining of their hip sockets, and they want to postpone a hip replacement surgery, they have to be mindful of their needs and meet them as efficiently and non-neurotically as possible. So with each inhalation, I recommend sitting up as straight as you can and assuming a subtle smile with the corners of your mouth, the apples of your cheeks, and the crow's feet of your eyes. With each inhalation, somewhat distend, sustainably distend your lower abdomen. In China, that is sometimes referred to as one's dan tian. In Japan, that is sometimes referred to as one's hara. Now let's look at the mental components. By the way, I mentioned counting 64 or 256 breaths. Here's how to do that. Upon one's left hand, each finger has 4 sets of creases. And so on one's inhalation, we can use one's thumb to count which inhalation we're on. The first, or the second, or the third, or the fourth, or the 8th, or the 12th, or the 16th. We can then count sets of 16 rounds on your right hand. And that would be first set, second set, third set, fourth set, 8th set. So your fourth set of 16 rounds is 64 breaths. That's when so every 64 breaths, I reverse which leg is on top and which is on the bottom. There's 8 sets and there's 12 sets. And we come to the final 16th set of one's 16 rounds. That's 256, and that's approximately 30 minutes. And that's when I add or subtract the zafu. So that's just me. It's not mandatory, but I don't want to keep things secret from you. It is written in the Paninibbana Sutta that when Buddha lay dying and he asked if there are any questions, he said, I've spent my life teaching with an outstretched arm and an open hand, keeping no secrets, which does 2 things. I want to make sure I've walked the line between, on one hand, keeping no secrets, but on the other hand, not overwhelming you, telling you everything all the time, all at once. But number two, this is an antidote to this is a warning against elitism. Someone says this is a secret transmission or a secret mantra or a secret practice. No, Buddha didn't play those kind of games. Those who really understand the Buddha's teachings and really implement the Buddha's teachings don't play elitist games either. What makes me special, what makes me wear these, have a strange name and have strange garments, is not because I received a secret handshake or a secret ritual, just because I have been studying and practicing the Buddha's teachings and Lao Tzu's teachings for multiple decades, multiple times a day, as a full-time job. And so I have some experience, both intellectual and visceral, with these teachings. And I wear these garments just because it helps me to help people. There are situations where if I'm dressed like everybody else, sitting on the corner meditating, the cops will come by. And sometimes I still do anyway. But because of my name, and my name is on my driver's license, because of these garments, in certain situations, it's easier for me to help others. One time I was on mass transit, and some young man had a seizure, and while we were waiting for the EMTs to come, dressed how I am, I was able to walk down the center aisle and said, "Please let me through. I'm a Buddhist priest." And I was able to tend to him. I was able to comfort him until the medical personnel could arrive. And those are things that I can only do dressed as I am and named as I am. So, bottom line, nothing special. Anything I can do, anyone else can do, given the information and the effort and the time. So, the mental aspect of meditation. The in-breath is the domain of mindfulness. And therefore, during our in-breath, we can mentally recite, notice this. The out-breath, the exhalation, is the arena of meditation. And therefore, doing so, we can mentally recite, relaxing. Or if you like hyphens, relaxing. But why is that? Ask a neuroscientist. They'll tell you, every time we inhale, we activate our sympathetic nervous system, which is wired for perception, which allows us to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and spontaneously. That is a survival mechanism, and it is as old as vertebrate life on this planet. But whatever are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? Every time we exhale, we light up our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So during every out-breath, there is an excellent opportunity for us to make peace with the present moment, whether that present moment is glorious or grotesque. We make peace with the present moment not through believing certain things or telling ourselves certain things, by physically relaxing and mentally releasing. Then, you might ask, if this is not an act of self-talk, then why do we play with the phrases, notice this, and relaxing? In an effort to align our intention with our factory-installed wiring. Now that you know both the physical and mental aspects of meditation, in line to the fact it's 27 minutes after the hour, let's meditate. Good morning, Esther. Oh, I forgot to mention, physically, As you sit with an erect posture, allow your eyes to gaze downwards at approximately a 45-degree angle towards the floor. So the eyelids aren't completely closed. That can make you drowsy. They're not completely open. That can make you really antsy. But a 45-degree downward angle is lovely. Hello, Serenity. Nice to see you. So remember, during the in-breath, we mentally recite, notice this. During the out-breath, we mentally recite, relaxing. So I found the first 5 minutes of meditation are the most difficult. And then with every next set of 5 minutes, it gets easier and easier until you hit a wall. And if you push yourself into a wall, you'll most likely develop an aversion, which I don't recommend. But if you're patient, eventually you'll notice your body and your mind postpone the arrival of the wall, maybe by a second, maybe by a minute. But day in and day out, you'll notice the wall moves further and further out, and it becomes more and more comfortable to meditate for longer and longer periods of time, without pushing ourselves, without developing an aversion. And we can notice things as we sit in meditation. We can notice the external or the internal, the real, the imagined, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. We could experience perceptions, emotions, intentions, reason, recollection, and imagination. Our job is not to be a post-revisionist historian. Our job is not to lament our folly or the cruelties perpetrated against us. Our job is to notice whatever we're experiencing, label it with the pronoun this, and relax. And that heals our mind. It doesn't make cruelty okay. It doesn't make folly okay. But it helps us make peace with its presence. Whatever comes, we allow it to come. Whatever stays, we allow it to stay. Whatever goes, we allow it to go. For how can we make peace with other individuals if we still are at war with our own components of experience? If we are still at war with our perceptions, emotions, intentions, reason, recollection, and imagination. Let's seal this practice with a chant. May all beings master the Tower of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that each may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and if you can, share it on social media. In approximately 10.5 hours, we could return to explore mindfulness, renunciation, and freedom, as well as chant and meditate some more. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.